What's up guys, it's Andy, and by the title of this video, we obviously have some news, diagnosis, and prognosis on Elliot's condition. I mentioned in my last video that we were just lunging because of our relationship, but when the vet came back for his third lameness assessment 2 weeks ago, he had actually gotten worse after being put back into work. So we went ahead and did some nerve blocking, and we blocked at the fetlock and nothing changed. This is all on his right hind, by the way. Then we blocked just below the hock on the right side, and everything changed. So not only did he move better, and I could physically see he was moving better, but he also developed slight lameness on the left hind, which we think is just purely compensation, and that will go away and that there's nothing really going on there. So it was a bit disappointing, I guess, because we were finally getting to a good relationship spot. My doctor for him, the vet, she actually has for free adjusted his pole twice, and it has made the world of difference. Like, something was definitely going on up there, and he's definitely more like himself. If you saw our last TikTok kind of talking about his diagnosis, you'll see how quietly he stood in the cross ties, and it's been months since he's done that. So very happy on that end. However, we had to wait a week. Well, it was actually 4 weeks of just long line work, walk, trot, until we could have the vet come back to do imaging and x-rays on the ligaments and hock areas. Unfortunately, because of the benzocaine that was injected for the nerve block and the amount of fluid that was put at the two joint spaces, they weren't able to ultrasound and x-ray that day. So that's how we got 4 weeks out. I did get put on a cancellation list and was able to get in next week, actually. So that was great. And they came and did ultrasound, and she spent a lot of time ultrasounding, which told me that was probably what the issue was. She opted to not x-ray his right hock because she found significant findings on the ultrasound of his suspensory ligament. Unfortunately, she deemed it acute on chronic injury. She doesn't like to use the word tear, because the suspensory ligament is like little tiny fibers all interwoven into this rope. And so varying degrees can be fraying in one tiny area across. It can be an exterior layer of fraying happening. It could be, the fibers have completely come apart, which I guess is what you'd call like a full tear. And that would absolutely require surgery to have any chance of healing. And his is like mild moderate is what she called it, and acute on chronic, meaning that she found evidence in the ultrasound imaging that something happened to his suspensory at some point in his life, whether that was a minor tear or just like physical trauma to the tissue or something probably related to his racing career. And then likely there was a combination of things. Most likely the galloping after my friend's fall in February is what caused the fibers to tear and fray and get all muddled. Basically, when you look at an ultrasound, you just see little white lines that are kind of going like this. And when there's injury, it looks like static on a TV, basically. And he definitely looked like static on a TV. We did do his left as well for comparison, and his left was totally clean. No sort of chronic anything with that leg. It was perfectly clean, perfectly awesome, great image. And then it was a great, null point, I guess you would say, for comparison. He has a relatively good outlook if we can get him to fully participate in rehab. So right now, he is eligible for the Renovo injection, which is basically stem cells for horses. It's equine placental cells that create like an allograft and help. It's basically putting these undirected cells, what is it called? Undifferentiated cells into the area, and it says, become this, become this, become this. When it's in an area of injury, the body will tell the cells to become whatever it needs, basically. Very similar to stem cells in humans. So what we're hoping is we're going to do the one injection of Renovo, and then shockwave therapy, which uses sound waves, can help activate the area and activate healing. So we're going to do 3 sessions of that separated by 2 weeks. He right now is on a 2-week rehab schedule because Renovo has special shipping and handling because it has to be on dry ice or something like that. So it takes 10 days for them to order it and get it to the office. So we basically set out for 2 weeks to do the injection. He's going to be just hand walking, or I'm actually going to learn how to lunge line him next Wednesday, and long lining him will allow him to have 5 additional minutes of activity because he's supporting himself and is like structurally held together. So he's not like wild movement or anything like that. So right now for week 1, it's been 5 steps backwards and then doing 5 minutes of walking, like at a momentum pace. You know, we're not dilly-dallying. We're also not running. No small circles or anything like that. So we usually, I found, to do a lap across the diagonal, a lap that way, and then back across the diagonal at the speed that we go at usually hits that 5-minute mark. And then after the 5 minutes walking, he does another 5 steps back. Now, I specifically noticed he's a lot more willing to back after he does the 5 minutes of walking. So I think that's doing him some good. I know it seems to be a little bit of controversy about movement in rehab on an injury like this, but I am very well taken care of by a very knowledgeable sports medicine vet who deals with this all the time, and I trust her opinions on what he is and is not able to do based on the severity of his injury. Currently, right now, we're in the stage of just don't do more damage prior to treatment, and then it'll get a lot more strict. So currently, right now, there is a smaller run attached to the front of the barn, and that is where he's getting turned out alone currently. Most days he's been doing good. Today was not a good day. There were like 30-mile-an-hour winds for a while, and it was also feeding time. So he did end up cantering like a circle, which we immediately brought him inside. And he definitely settled down after that. He's had 2 Masterson sessions now. And while I totally believe in the system and I really do think it works, it's not for him because he cannot have someone working on him for an hour and a half. It's just not doable. He gets really agitated. So he was very agitated by the end of his session. We took him outside. The wind was blowing in the trees a lot. Even after he got his lunch, he was just way too wild. We brought him inside. He's got lots of toys. He's got treat ball. He's got hay balls. He's got jolly balls. He's got a rope toy. I have an anti-cribbing toy coming that's going to go out in the run that we're going to make for him. And yeah, we're just trying to plan the best we can. And I'm really hoping we don't have to sedate him because it's more beneficial if he doesn't have to be sedated. I did already miss 1 rehab exercise session. We had to put my rabbit down last night at the animal hospital, so we didn't get back until late. So I just figured he's in his stall anyway, so he's obviously getting stall rest. So went out today, and then on Wednesday, after I learned how to long line him, his movement can move up to 10 minutes, and it'll be 3 times per session of doing the 5 steps backwards. So we'll do it at the beginning, we'll do it at the 5-minute mark, and then we'll do it at the 10-minute mark. Just again, hand walking, long lining. By the time we get to May 8th, he can do up to 15 minutes just walking. Again, no small circles or anything like that. So hopefully that will be enough to, have kept some muscle on him, because I just paid over $1,000 for his functional electrical stimulation therapy, which put on the muscle he needed in the right spots, but now it's going to atrophy because of lack of work. So we're trying to find ways through long lining that will keep that muscle while still allowing him to recover. We also have to do, for these first 2 weeks, carrot or treat stretches. So we do kind of a rotation. It's 10 seconds bent to the rib cage left, 10 seconds bent to the rib cage right, 10 seconds down to the front fetlock on the left side, and then 10 seconds down to the front fetlock on the right side, and then a 10-second belly lift hold. It is very hard to get a horse to hold a belly lift or any stretch period for 10 seconds willingly. I've come up with a 3-treat system where I put 3 treats in my hand, and I get about 3 to 4 seconds per treat. And right as he's about to leave the stretch, I rub his nose with the other one so he knows it's there. And I do that until we get about 10 seconds. And it's working out pretty well so far. Belly lifts he's always been pretty good at. So that's kind of what our rehab schedule is looking like. Obviously, I moved to the barn that I'm at because it had everything we needed and everything we wanted to do. And the idea was I was putting all my money in that because I wasn't going to have to spend money on grain and supplements and all the things. I'm now spending the most amount of money that I've ever spent on a horse. But that being said, I am very grateful, and a shout out to my barn staff, because they are just, the care is so tailored. They are literally making a custom sized run off of his Dutch door so that post treatment he can still have access to outside while he's healing to see the other horses. They are hand grazing him every day, and they even got toys with their own money, or brought toys they had for their own horses from home for him to use. And I could literally cry, because where else would you get care like that? And they're like, they're ordering panels to make the run, and they're like, anything you need, let us know. And if we need to do, daily sedation, just let us know. And it's just been, I was waiting for okay, here's what the extra charges are going to be each month. And there isn't. It's just all included. And I feel very grateful to be where I am, no matter what it's costing me at this point. Between his vet appointments, I do have him on a calming supplement, which has actually really helped if we end up having to sedate. All the money I'm buying in toys, oh my gosh, you need a whole arsenal to keep them occupied. So I'm really hoping that we can get through this. Estimation is back to full work, including jumping, by 8 months. So I'm basically not riding the rest of the year, which is really sad. I'm trying to coordinate with some trainers in the area that have school horses to try and get some lessons so that I'm not completely out of the running as far as my riding ability goes. Because I don't want to be super out of practice when he's coming back into work. I think ideally the first 4 months is going to be the make or break time, where he really needs to be contained and quiet. And then we'll start incorporating walking poles. And then I imagine it'll go up to trotting poles, and then cantering, either long line or lunge line. And then he'll get, probably before we get to trot and canter, he'll get under saddle with walk so that it's weight bearing. And it's going to be a long road. I've never had to do this before. It does not come with a manual on how to handle stuff like this. I think I'm fortunate enough that I can afford to do this. As I've said, with putting him in training and doing the FES therapy and all the things I've been trying to do, like, I'm fortunate I can afford to do that, because sometimes, depending on the financial situation, a suspensory injury of any magnitude that requires treatment or surgery is a euthanasia discussion, because a lot of people can't afford that. And there are some other options as he's healing as well. PRP, protein-rich plasma, where they remove blood, centrifuge it, and basically put back in like the white blood cells and the plasma into the area of injury to help stimulate healing. So we might look at something like that in the future. But for the sake of being real, I mean, by the time I finished his, I think he ended up having 7 functional electrical stimulation therapy sessions. He had 2 physical adjustments in that time that I was charged for. So thus far, I kind of did a little TikTok about it, looking exactly at the numbers, but considering the last vet bill, I am now over $3,600 since February. So in 2 months, I've spent $3,600 in vet bills. The maximum proposed for everything that needs to be done on May 8th, including his first shockwave therapy treatment, was quoted around $2,000. And then obviously there will be follow-up appointments every 4 weeks. There will be 2 additional shockwave therapies, which are just under $400 a piece. And by the time we get to the end of 8 months, we could very well be looking at 6-8 grand, maybe even up to 10 grand to get this injury taken care of on a horse that, from a financial standpoint, is not worth that much. I was debating if I was selling Elliot. Now the answer is no, because you cannot sell a horse that has an injury. You would be better off putting it to sleep. I don't know if he's my hurt horse, but he doesn't have a choice now. He is financially obligated to be my hurt horse. So that's where we're at. I just wanted to do an update of the prognosis and what's going on. I've been kind of absent from YouTube and TikTok for that matter, and I just wanted to kind of fill everybody in. So thank you guys for listening. Content is going to be different coming up. Maybe some of the rehab, some of the stretching, some of the appointments. I'll see what I can get and put out for you guys, but there will be no riding content, unfortunately. Hopefully that's not the end all be all. I know I have my loyal subscribers that have been here since before Gideon, so I know you guys will stick around, and I hope the new people that found the channel will stick around because it's nice having you. So I guess we will see you guys in the next one.